Sell your car, sell your house, sell your wife, sell your kids, and put all of the money into Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson cards. At least I think some people are doing that. Is that a good decision? We're going to tell you what we think now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. Gentlemen, the card market, particularly for a few basketball players right now, is absolutely on fire. Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, and even Victor Wembanyama on the high end. This is incredible. Teapot, Doug, welcome to the show today. We're going to break this all down for our audience and what they need to do, because our audience probably has some FOMO, some fear of missing out, especially if they don't currently have Anthony Edwards cards in their collection, or Jalen Brunson or Victor Wembanyama. Check this out, guys. According to Market Movers, Anthony Edwards' Prism base card in PSA 10 condition is up 306% over the last 30 days. His silver is up 147%. Now, Jalen Brunson's increases are more modest comparatively. His base is up 20%. His silver is up 61%. Still great increases, but not nearly as much as Anthony Edwards. But Victor Wembanyama, who just won Unanimous Rookie of the Year, he's no slouch himself. He's been setting incredible record prices. Of course, it was a few weeks ago that his Black Shimmer from PWCC sold for $516,000. And then just a few days ago, his Green Shimmer, numbered 1 out of 5 in PSA 10, sold for $113,500 on Golden. So he's seeing incredible auction prices. These cards are popping off, but my question to you guys today, is it too late? Are we too late to buy into these cards, or is there still opportunity to ride the hype? What would you do? How do you approach all of this right now, Teapot? I'm going to start with you.
With Edwards, it's too late. Right now, I would say sell Anthony Edwards, personally. I would say sell it. Somebody just said they had one of those cards. And
even if he goes on and wins a championship.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. I have a lot more to say about this in my upcoming data dive this week, trying to decode the hobby psychology piece here around these hype cycles. Ant-Man is very special. The thing I love is he's not a crazy stat stuffer. He has been in the playoffs, but through the season, he's more moderate. I like to make the comparison to Kobe. He's asked himself not to be compared to MJ, so I won't do that. But he plays like Kobe, and Kobe never... He could score. He could score and score and score. But it was like 5-6 rebounds, 5-6 assists, conventional shooting guard wing player who does everything. The question is here, and I think the challenge is, how is Ant-Man going to stand up long-term against gaudy stat stuffers like Luka, even Shea, Jokic, and others? There's one thing here that's going to matter, and it is winning. So you made the point. Did they go on to win? That's huge in the minds of basketball fans and collectors. Winning is literally everything. And that's why right now we're seeing Ant-Man and Brunson in particular skyrocket. Their teams are winning. They're the clear leaders of those teams. Now here's what's fascinating. Anthony Edwards' Prism Silver is now more expensive than any other rookie since 2016. A month ago, Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander were roughly the same price, and Luka was 75% more than both of those guys. What's wild now is that you've still got Luka and Shai, you've got Tatum, you've got Brunson, Halliburton, all these guys are still in the playoffs, that you've got Edwards at $1,600. Luka at $1,100. If Ant-Man loses, that card's coming down significantly. If he wins, maybe it holds. Maybe it holds. It probably won't. So Luka's still in it. Shai, I like the Thunder right now. I think the Thunder are going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. He's at $623. I'd be looking more at Shai and Brunson right now as continuing buy opportunities. I'd be selling my Ant-Mans.
That's pretty fair analysis. No one seems to be talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the moment. He's been outshadowed by these other guys, but Oklahoma City looks the part. Doug, how are you playing this situation right now?
Yeah, I'm actually selling both Brunson and Ant right now.
Okay.
I bought a bunch of each back in February. Both have done really well since February. So right now is a good opportunity for me. And like what you said, you're talking about, we're kind of in an we're kind of in an era of stat stuffers right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the NBA is. Anthony Edwards, I think, is a top 5, maybe top 3 player in the league right now, but his stats aren't always top 5, top 3. Yeah. I like him long term, and I do think there'll be more buying opportunities later. Right now, this is not a buy opportunity for me. Yeah. After they win or lose, there's going to be some fluctuation in his prices during the offseason. You can reevaluate that then. Out of the guys that you brought up, I like Wemby the most. Mm-hmm. He's the most unattainable. He's super expensive, but this is a guy that I just see in the future. He's almost guaranteed, if he stays healthy, MVPs and championships. He's just that dynamic of a player. The things that he's doing are just unbelievable. He's going to capture everyone's attention. So out of that group, that's who I would, if I had the funds, which I don't. He's super expensive. But that guy's staying.
Wemby does look different than anybody else on the court, than anybody else, right? Ever on the court. And so for that reason, Wemby does have this uniqueness to him that I think will help his card values in the long run. It may help him stand above somebody like Anthony Edwards, because there have been other players of his kind of characteristics before, but not with Victor Wembanyama. But of course, he's got the Spurs are
He's single-handedly propping up 2023 Wags.
Yeah. He is.
Yeah. That class 2023 is looking to me like 2013.
Yeah.
Giannis, and then who else?
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think Brandon Miller has a chance to be good, and we'll see with the rest of the class. But it could be like Wemby, and then I don't know.
There's an interesting lesson in all of this. People in sports cards, including myself, I've made this mistake, have very short spans that they're willing to let a player develop before they want to get out of a card and flip. We're seeing Jalen Brunson, 2018. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was 2018 too, right?
Yeah.
Think how long it's taken those guys to develop. Even Anthony Edwards, who was 2020. There's how many people out there in the audience bought and sold cards of these guys over the last few years and just gave up and cut bait on them at various points in time, myself included. But patience, if you have conviction, if you see a player who you think is really going to have the chance to be something special, patience, and it may eventually pay off. And it's paying off for those folks who have 2018 cards, 2020 cards. That's starting to pay off right now.
I've got a lot to say about that in Data Dive this week.
Okay.
You're going to want to watch that, and we'll follow up more on some of that stuff next week.
There you go. Now, one thing you cannot be patient for is this week's PWCC weekly auction, because those cards are hot, and that auction ends this weekend. PWCC Marketplace has some awesome items. Normally it's a card that I have my eye on, but this week I noticed they have a seal case. It's not as pretty as a card, but a seal case of 2022 Bowman baseball. And with how well Elly De La Cruz is playing, that would be a great case to buy and hold on to. T-Bot, what do you have your eye on?
1998. Fleer Tradition, Playmakers Theater, number to 100, PSA 9, Barry Sanders.
Oh, I knew Barry Sanders was going to find his way into the show. How about you, Doug?
Well, you started the show off by talking about Wemby and shimmers. It's almost like you read my mind. There is a Wemby first off the line blue shimmer out of 35 and a PSA 10 there. I'm not actually going to go for that card. Like I mentioned earlier, that's way out of my price range. That's probably a $50,000 card or something crazy, so I can't go for it. But if I could pick anything, that's the one.
You will have fun tracking it. Yeah. All right, guys, these cards plus thousands more are on PWCCmarketplace.com right now. And by the way, great place to vault your cards as well. Use promo code SCI when you do. Okay, guys, let's talk about Data Dive. You did an interesting video on the Market Movers YouTube channel this past week, Teapot. Took a look at the overall sports card market, some observations you had. Many vintage cards were up, some a little bit down. Ultra-modern basketball and hockey largely flat. We're looking here over the last 90 days, by the way. Ultra-modern football down a little bit. We're in the off-season, of course. Ultra-modern baseball down quite a bit. Some of the guys affecting that, Ohtani down, Acuna down. Ohtani surprisingly down, and you talked about why on your video. Soto is up, though. 2000s basketball is down. LeBron's down, has been down for a while. 1980s basketball is down. 1980s football is up. All years of soccer are down. UFC is down. F1 is up. Star Wars is up. The market overall is actually a little bit up, but a lot of these different categories up and down. Teapot, what surprised you the most when you were kind of going through these numbers and going through your video?
Well, one thing was Ohtani. Like looking at baseball, especially coming into the season, you usually see this run up and things have already kind of cooled down for a lot of players. Acuna's not hitting well. There's a lot going on in the most recent years for sure. But Ohtani, what it is proof that him not being a unicorn in pitching, in spite of his recent heat, like he's hitting better than anybody. He's on pace for an 11 WAR, literally just hitting as a DH. That's unbelievable. But still people aren't treating him the same as the high point last year. Now, he's up from a year ago in his prices. And honestly, if you look at his really iconic, meaningful high-end cards, you can't get into any of those for under 10K right now. I just looked at it with Scotty B. We're analyzing this. It's really tough to get in for a reasonable price on those high-end cards. So overall, he's still doing well, and I think he's starting to see an uptick now because he's just been on a tear. UFC, I think UFC has just solidifies itself as very tough to invest in with any long-term staying power in any particular fighter. It's a collector's sport. These guys have short-lived, they're flash in the pans, champions change all the time. Very difficult with that, but a fun sport to collect. F1 has impressed me because it's bounced back. I thought it had kind of just not died, but like really settled down at a low point. It's starting to see some heat again around it. We got the race in Miami. Did that happen already, or it's coming? I don't know.
It happened.
Yeah, there you go. So he's representing. So F1 was interesting.
Okay. Doug, what caught your eye?
Same thing. Well, in terms of F1 anyway, I was really surprised to see that F1 had come back up.
Yeah.
I really feel like, from a fan perspective in America, it's kind of at an all-time low, our interest. Well, since 2020, since the first product came out, right? But to see the cards that are slightly up was impressive to me. And yes, Lando Norris got his first win for
cool.
McLaren at Miami, so I decided to wear this today. Despite not being a huge F1 fan myself, I'm pretending at least for the moment.
It's okay.
I was a little surprised at 2000 and LeBron stuff going down. Like, I get that the Lakers aren't very good, not in the playoffs anymore, tail end of his career kind of thing, but I just don't understand why LeBron would go down. Like, what has he done lately to say, okay, his card should be worth less?
Yeah, he actually had a good playoff series. He actually
He's
put up
39 years old.
Put up good for a 39-year-old. He had put up great numbers.
Yeah.
They put up one heck of a fight,
You got to win in the NBA.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm with Doug. I mean, I'm still buying LeBron. I'm still buying high-end LeBron because I'm not concerned about. I'm not expecting him to win another championship. I'm buying him for 20 years, 30 years from now.
And most of the list I thought was pretty predictable, right? Football being down in the offseason makes sense. I wish that basketball and hockey would have been ticking upward instead of flat. Hockey I thought might be propped up by Connor Bedard. Basketball is entering the playoff stretch. I thought that might help, see an uptick. So I was a little disappointed in that. But, most of that being relatively expected, I was most surprised by 2000s and LeBron stuff, and then really F1 to me.
As the playoffs go ahead with these leagues, NHL and NBA, everybody starts dropping off except the ones who are still standing. So the indexes themselves don't do particularly well during the playoffs because
most
of that
cards
reason.
go down.
Yeah.
Is that a Dortmund kit?
It is. They knocked out.
You guys are in the Champions League finals, right?
They not the finals, but they did knock out PSG in the semifinals. And that was a pretty big upset.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. Look at that.
Look at you.
Dortmund kit.
All winners,
Look at that.
baby.
Yeah, all winners,
All winners
right there. That's all that's happening.
The front
that's all
runner.
that's happening. All right, guys. We have a very, very special announcement to make. This Saturday, we are going live on our YouTube channel, on the Sports Card Investor YouTube channel, for Trade Night Live. It's our second time doing it. It is going to be improved from the first time we did it. The first time we did it was great, but this time is going to be even better. We've shifted the time slightly, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. There will be even more trading taking place from the show floor of Cards HQ, 3 hours of trading. Join me live for Trade Night Live. Then starting at 8 p.m., I'm going live to break until 1 in the morning. I'm trying to figure out what to break because we got Bowman Baseball on Cards HQ breaks. And then we also have Leaf Pop Century, which drops this week. We're going to be doing that on our Cards HQ TCG channel. Both of those on Whatnot. Which one should I break? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to let you guys decide. And then I'm going to be breaking that product Saturday night from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. So join us Saturday, starting on the Sports Card Investor channel at 5 p.m. for all of the fun. Okay, guys, let's get into our mailbag topics this week. First of all, grading news this week again. We got the April grading report from GemRate. These grading numbers are absolutely incredible. PSA's numbers were a little bit down from March, but that was in part because they actually moved offices during the month of April. So that actually slowed their grading velocity down a little bit in April. But when you look at these numbers year over year, the grading companies overall, their output is up 11% more than what it was March of last year. So we're just seeing continued year over year growth. Baseball is back to the number one sport. There was a period of time when basketball was the number one set of cards, but we got baseball's the number one right now. What do we make of this? Is this ever slowing down, or are we going to see month over month, year over year increases forever? Doug, I'll start with you.
I don't see this slowing down anytime soon, and there's probably a number of factors that play into that. One is the competition and pricing right now. Pricing is better than it has been in recent years for grading companies, and the competition in that space helps some. Turnaround times are faster for most companies right now, and I think that's helping some. I think all these repack buyers buying up every slab that exists at every card show might be helping. But, we've talked about this for a couple of years now. It feels like that we're in the junk slab era, and I think we're just in the very beginning of that era. It looks like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But there is also just seemingly more demand right now, and I don't know if that's artificial or genuine, but other companies in the hobby are talking about we're getting backed up. We're having too many orders. Our guys at PWCC, they need more items to sell. They've got a ton of buyers. They need more inventory. They're asking for more stuff to sell. So naturally, people are going to start grading more cards, send them to PWCC. Yeah, I just don't think this is going to end anytime soon. I think it's going to get a lot worse. There's so much more being printed now as well. There's just so much more being ripped every day on all these various live channels. There's just a lot of cards out there.
There's a lot of cards out there. As you said, prices lower, turnaround times better, so you don't have to. Your cards aren't locked up in grading prison for 6 months when you submit them. Teapot, is this the trend we're on now, or what's your perspective on all this?
Maybe we're not in a junk slab era. Right. Maybe we're just in the slab era.
Right.
Just the slab era. Even these slabs that'll sell for $10, $5. Like maybe people just really want their whole collection graded. I like to split mine into grading, graded cards, and then to have a lot of cards in one touches, that are lower dollar value. But maybe people really want these. I think what this is proof the hobby is really continuing to grow. Yeah. I know that for a fact. We meet people every day in the shop and on our shows and on live streams and AMAs and everything who are saying, this is the first time I've ever done cards. This is so much fun. Or I'm back in it for the first time since I was a kid. It's growing. And I think the fact that PSA continues to innovate, they're improving their operations, they're making strategic partnerships, they're advancing, they're fixing their grading process and always tweaking that. This whole grade to consignment direct through PSA is going to be, I think it's going to be huge. I think we're going to see these numbers continue to take off. I'm excited about participating in that process more. I don't think this is going anywhere.
Yeah, the interest in the hobby definitely keeps increasing. And the cool thing is that new people getting back into the hobby today, they're having a good experience, a lot better experience than people who got in a couple of years ago were, because you're getting into a time today when prices are actually inching up on a lot of cards, or at least staying stable, yet it's a lot more affordable to get into it than it was a couple of years ago. So you get a more stable market, more affordable entry points. And then you got things like grading, where there's actually quick turnarounds, lower prices than prior. So the whole thing feels a little more accessible. It's probably helping retain people better, which then helps the overall hobby, collector base grow, which is pretty cool. All right, second mailbag, not such a good news item. $2 million in cards stolen from Memory Lane Auctions, one of the big auction houses. And the story on this is that there was a card show that they were going to exhibit at. So they shipped to the hotel where their employees were going to be $2 million worth of cards via FedEx to the hotel. The cards got delivered to the hotel, but then all of a sudden, once they arrived at the hotel, and you could see the hotel workers signing for them, but then now nobody knows where the box of cards is. It's got $2 million worth of cards in it. They've looked at security cameras. Clearly the box disappeared at some point in time. It included things like numerous T206 cards, 14 rare 1914 Cracker Jack cards, a lot of these super rare, irreplaceable cards. They didn't tell. These cards all belong to people whose cards were at the auction. They waited until the final day of the auction to tell the people, because they were hoping that the cards would show back up. They never showed back up. They pulled them all from the auction on the final day. Thankfully, they have insurance, so people are getting insured. But Doug, when you heard this story, what did you make of all of this?
Well, it's unfortunately not super surprising, but it's obviously really, really unfortunate event. Anytime where there's this much money in play, though, criminal activity is probably going to have their eye on it, especially when it's going through the mail. We've seen this before, probably at smaller scales, but we've seen where mail, employees have stolen packages. We have seen smash and grab jobs at card shops. We have seen guys taken out of card shows in handcuffs. We've seen every level of theft that you can think of. But, we've seen breakers take hits off camera. We've seen every level of theft that you can think of within this hobby. So it's not surprising, but again, super disappointing. Just hoping that with cards this rare, whether it's, obviously I'm sure they have the serial numbers recorded for anything that's slabbed, or if it's just that rare of a card, it's going to raise a red flag if they come up for sale anytime soon. So, insurance is great and all, but man, it sucks.
It's a shame to lose one-of-a-kind pieces
Yeah.
like this. You do have to wonder, the person who acquired these cards, do they have any idea now what to do with them? Because these are not
Right.
going to be easy cards to
Right.
move. They're like, I mean, it's like you got a bunch of stuff, but what the heck do you do with it? You can't. I mean, they're just asking to get caught.
Yes.
If they start trying to sell these through any mechanism possible. Teapot, what do you make of all this?
They're gonna show up here and get a little right outside. Like that's what I hope would happen.
It could. We've already had a guy show up and tried to sell us stolen cards and got the
that your,
police involved.
was that
We've
your
already had that
police?
happen once.
That was my police siren.
That was
pretty
good.
Yeah.
That was good.
No, I mean, you hate to see this. First off, hopefully these cards are located soon. What's surprising to me is that there wasn't somebody from memory lane on the other end literally waiting for this package to arrive. How does a $2 million package get set behind the counter? Like, it needs signature.
Yeah.
That's the piece that if I were one of the consignees, like saying, hey, sell my cards, and I found out this happened, I would be like, but how? How does this happen? So that's surprising to me. I don't know why, maybe fly with them, whatever. I would expect that if they're not found, soon, the grading companies temporarily deactivate these certs so that any transactions that are trying to happen, somebody's going to recognize something's going on. There's a long shot here that I really would hope is not the case, like a major long shot, but I hope these weren't somehow like accidentally thrown out. That seems like it would be an impossibility, but the fact that they just got dropped off at a hotel, if somebody's just like, oh, what is this box or what, I don't know, I have no idea. That would be devastating. Literally, if these cards were just lost forever somehow. I doubt that. It seems like a thief had them. And like you said, good luck. Good luck trying to move those, even on the black market. Like I don't know what the
Apparently,
point is.
several other boxes were also open that they were just full of catalogs. So there's several boxes that have been opened that just contain, pamphlets in there, and then the one box that went missing. So, I think they're on the hunt.
Not great. Not great. What is going to be great, though, is Saturday. Don't forget, Trade Night Live here on the Sports Card Investor channel starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I'm going to be breaking on Cards HQ breaks or Cards HQ TCG on Whatnot starting at 8 p.m. Let me know what you want me to break below. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, gentlemen. Take care.